That's actually what we just spoke to in Karen's share. Feels like a really beautiful place for a theme to explore for this week is our relationship to success and how we feel about it. I know I've had um, my own experiences of success where at times success feels really painful, like there's a lot of work that I don't want to do associated with getting to where I want to go. And then there's other times where success feels really good. And because of those different experiences and my relationship to success in that way, that I have a fear of success just as much as I have a fear of failure. Right. And so I'd love to explore that a little bit today and go deep into what's your relationship to success. So let's start there. What's your relationship to success in your life, Karen?
I think my relationship to success is complicated, to put it simply. Um, One being that I don't think I acknowledge the success as when I'm experiencing it, right? Like, um, it's like it seems like there's a duality to it where there on one hand I'm like success is inevitable, like this is just how we roll, right? So of course I'm going to not celebrate the thing because I'm like, that's how it should be. We don't like there's nothing less than an A plus on the assignment, right? But then also it's like there I know that there's a piece of me that feels like success isn't for me, it's for other people. And for me, what feels sometimes more real is like um average or like entry level or like, not quite. I think that comes from maybe what my story is of what success looks like, if that makes sense. And so if I'm not at this creation of what I think success is, then that means I'm not successful. Whereas is that story of what I think success looks like actually true? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. What about you, Dara?
Primarily, my relationship with success is I have some fears surrounding it, I think. The only reason that I've been able to work through that, honestly, is because of human design and learning that other people see me completely different than I see myself. But I primarily I'm as ridiculous as it might sound, I'm almost afraid of what I can do because somewhere deep within, I know that there's not really a limit. And that kind of scares me because I played small most of my life.
Yeah, that's a deep one. That's a deep one. Um, and I just want to invite for this call because we're more intimate. Like this can be a really interactive call, right? I just want to invite, like, if there's something, if Dira says something and Karen, it moves something in you and you want to jump in and respond, like I want to invite that in for this particular call, right? Like I'm here for it, and vice versa, right? um yeah, that whole piece around what's possible and what I'm capable of and what I have the capacity for, and what I actually want to do, like what I'm capable of, what I have the capacity for, what's possible, and then what all of that requires of me, and what I want within what's required has been a lot of what I've navigated personally, which it feels like that's a little bit of what you were describing, Dira. And I think too, Karen, like the way that you were talking about, how you think about success is so important. I there's a couple of things I think about when I personally think about success. I think about money. I think about worth, and I think about happiness. And I don't always know that that serves me to put to attach those things to my idea of what I think success is. I think it actually more often than not might be a disservice to say that happiness, worth, and money is all tied up in what success means to me. And so then I'm left with like, okay, well, if it's not that, okay, I can figure out what it's not. I can figure out what I thought it was, but it's not actually serving me to think about it that way. Then what is it? What's the new definition? So I'm just curious if that resonates for any of you and like what your thoughts are on that.
It does
Yeah, let's.
actually. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, let's all just get off mute the rest of this call.
I'm
Go
in. I'm
ahead,
in. Off
Dira.
you. Off you. We're doing it.
Yeah, I 100% thank you. I 100% agree with that simply because in one of the main things that I do, one of my main pillars is empowerment for women who have survived narcissistic relationships. And one of the things that I've realized is that my initial definition of success wasn't even my definition of success. And so once I realized that, I had to take some time, and it was hard. I was lost. I didn't really know who I was. I actually had to sit down and take some time and think, okay, what is it that I actually want? What do I want to do? And then go from there and try to build my own definitions of a lot of things, but success primarily because it was like, initially success meant getting a college degree and then getting a doctorate and then buying a house and having a white picket and all that. But it's like, I don't really want all of that for a lot of reasons. So having to go through and reevaluate it in that sense, what does success mean to me? Well, it means that I feel at peace within myself. It means that I feel happy in my authenticity. And, of course, there is other things like, I'm financially successful and et cetera. But yeah, it took a while for me to figure that out, actually. And so I think it's a lot bigger than what a lot of people initially say it is. When you ask somebody, what does success mean to you? It feels like a big question, but it's like it gets bigger the more you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's so fascinating. Like, and I wonder too, it's like I'm also constantly walking this line of like, how much do I need to talk about it in order just to do the things, right? Like, do I really need to go into this whole philosophical rabbit hole around discovering what success means to me in order to get done what I want to get done in my business or in my life or in my, right? Or like, how much do I have to do that, and sometimes I'm like, I just want to do, or I just want to rest. It's like one or the other, right? And and so yeah, but I do come back to clarity of what the words mean, because somewhere in my subconscious I'm making decisions all the time, whether I know it or not, right? Like I'm on autopilot way more than I realize that I am. And so if my subconscious is believing something about success that isn't serving my highest, that isn't serving my goals, that isn't serving my future, then I need to address that. And it does take some time for me to unpack that fully, you know? And then once I unpack it, it's like, what do I replace it with? It's again, I come back to, okay, if I know it's not this, what is my definition? And I do think what you were speaking to, Dira, around success being defined as peace with yourself, that feels resonant. I feel when the moment I get into success being defined as like feeling happy with my work, I actually, for me, I feel a energy, like a resistance, because a belief that I've chosen for myself has to do with, it's not about being happy, right? It's about being, right? It's not about feeling good, it's about feeling, right? And so the moment that I chose to think about my life and emotions in that way, because when I was in the hustle of trying to be happy or trying to feel good, it was creating the opposite effect. There was so much pressure on myself to be a certain way. And so instead of feeling good and feeling happy, I was feeling pressure to feel good and feel happy, which was just making me feel overwhelmed and miserable,
Mhm.
right? And so it's like that wasn't working. I see you, Karen. I see you. What's coming up? What's coming up?
So much is coming up. One, I think the word happy is like overrated, and like we associate it with like a rainbows and butterflies and cartwheels and like all of that. And I'm like, anybody want to be living in cartwheel rainbow land all the time? Like, and there's something so almost like getting in touch with the language, right? So if happy doesn't resonate with you, then peace does resonate with you. Then that's the language that you use to inform. Okay, well, if I feel at peace, does that mean I've hit my success, right? And then I feel like there's something that I saw you talk about on TikTok, dear, about, I know you talk so well about like sacred rage. And I think in general, where I'm trying to like collect my thoughts is around the idea of like, when you're healing and when you're on your spiritual journey, we're not bypassing the fucking difficult feelings and the negative
Yes.
feelings, right? So when you're like trying to strive for happiness, it's almost like it's disregarding the fact that you're a human and you're still going to feel sad some days, still going to feel frustrated, still going to feel pissed off, like all of these things. But what came up for me as you were saying that night is like, okay, but if I'm going to be pissed off about something, I choose to be pissed off about the shit that like is important to me and is moving me on my path to like feel fulfilled. That's another word that came up for me. Instead of happiness is like fulfilled, right? Like satisfied. Because in thinking of it through the lens of like business, there are going to be times in our business where we're fucking pissed off, where we're angry, where we're sad. The thing that we wanted to do didn't work out. Like we feel like we may have failed at something, right? But in that, I'm like, I would way rather feel pissed off about something that's my business that I'm creating than like feel pissed off that I'm working as a receptionist and I like can't go to the bathroom because the phone might ring and like my boss is yelling at me and like I'm resentful that my paycheck isn't enough. You know what I mean? Like there's this different connotation. And so that's where I'm like, okay, it still feels like, well, what is the thing that you're trying to do? And let your definition of success be filtered through that lens, right? Because there's Frankie Beverly and Mays, joy and pain, sunshine and rain. Like it's going to always be there. We can't bypass it. But we're choosing to feel all of these difficult feelings and all of these amazing feelings in something that we still have agency over.
Hmm. That's deep.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
I love that. That I am a huge proponent and advocate of not bypassing, because all that does is it creates a pool of the stuff that you're not looking at. And 100% it makes sense to me, because especially in your own business. And that's why, other business owners have always said, don't quit, because when you feel like you want to quit, that might be when you have a breakthrough. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But if you really sort of feel into that, it's even when things don't go well in business, you've learned something that, well, at least I have in my experience. If it hasn't gone well, I've learned something. And to me, that's expansion, that's growth in and of itself. And I get fulfillment out of that. It's like light bulb moment, new achievement has been unlocked over my head, like in video games. I love it. So yeah, 100% that resonates.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
makes me think too when you were talking about like rage and like choosing what you decide to be pissed off at. It's like it makes it I had the thought like, "Oh, I don't want to waste my rage." Like no one wants wasted rage. like you want sacred rage. You don't want wasted rage. There are so many things in this world, in our ancestry, in our lives, you know, that we've moved through in our lives that are happening now, that are past trauma, current trauma, world global trauma. There is so much I can be pissed about. Why would I waste that on some trivial nonsense? Right? Why would I
Mm-hmm.
waste that at that powerful? Because rage, like all emotions are powerful, but rage and anger in particular are such they feel active, right? They're emotions that are active. Like sadness feels a little bit more passive, super powerful emotion, but it's like you lie in it, right? Rage, you rage in it, you know? And so it's like an active emotion and it gets to be directed. And so part of success for me is giving my part of the definition for success for me has to include you know, giving myself permission to move through all of those different feelings. And when you were talking about that, Karen, that's what I felt. I felt like, damn, yeah, like I get to be pissed off about XYZ things. I don't have to be pissed off about XYZ things. That's a waste of my rage. It really is, you know? And so maybe part of my definition of success too is like I want to figure out a different way of phrasing this, but it's like not wasting the moment, right? It's like being radically present to the moment, to the emotion, um, where the emotion itself is fulfilling, you know, regardless of what it is that you're doing with it, because it's like the what you're feeling it on behalf of is an integrity, you know, you're raging in dignity, you know. And so like yeah, there's something, I'm still finding the language for it, but there's something there about like not wasting it. And I don't like I gotta find a figure I gotta figure out, it's got to be something about, it's got to be up the positive, right? I don't like saying not, I don't like defining things as not something, right? Like I want to define
Mm-hmm.
as being something, but there's something there.
Yeah.
And radical presence is that chef's kiss. I like that phrase.
Hmm. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Can we go back to something that you said to Naya that keep sticking out for me is the requirement. When you talk about things that are required, could you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah. Yeah. This is, I think about this a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about this before, like this feeling of, I realized like towards the beginning of when we were first starting our masterminds that there were things that I wasn't doing in my business that I felt really bad about. And but I continued not to do them. Right. And what I realized at the time, like around the time we were starting this mastermind, was like, I wasn't doing those things to sabotage myself, even though I was sabotaging myself, right? I was not doing those things because there was a part of me that wanted to hide. There was actually still this part of me that didn't want to show up, that wanted to hide away. And so that part of me that knew I had to, you know, go live 4 days a week on social media, and you know, write the emails out and schedule them and create the products and create the systems and design and redesign the sales pages and the copy, like all of that stuff. I wasn't, there was this part of me that was like genuinely not ready to do that work that was required of me to get to the next stages in my business, right? And so when Dira was talking about like possibility and what it is we're, you know, we're capable of as women and as humans, this piece that I came back to, that piece of like, yeah, there are times where like I know how much I can do. I know how much I can do, but that doing requires me to do, right? It like I've got to do it. And so I have this like interesting relationship with all of it, you know, where I want to get to this, I don't know. I'm like, let me see. It's like I want to get to this place where the doing feels, maybe that's success, where the doing feels like in flow, where I'm in flow. I
Ah,
have the energy and I have energy and yeah, and like in that flow state. Because otherwise the requirement, when I think about it as like requiring me to show up in a way to do the thing, there's like a willpower that's needed. And I don't necessarily like, I don't love that willpower sometimes creates a friction and like a hump that I don't necessarily want to get over. It's like I want to wake up in the morning and just want to get out of bed because I'm energized and feel good. I don't want to wake up in the morning and be like, "Oh God, okay. Let me do it one more time on the like on the snooze." You know what I mean? Like it's like that kind of a thing. Is that making sense?
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Dira, what's coming up for you when you hear that?
I For me, the hitting the snooze button is perfect because that was something that helped me to understand where I was with the definition of success, because it was like I wake up every morning with gratitude, but do I really, if I hit the snooze button 3 or 4 times, is that really what's happening? And so, I went through a phase. I do still occasionally do it, but not always. And so I really had to sit with myself and say, okay, what is it that I'm having such a hard time? What am I providing so much resistance for in pursuit of my own goals and dreams? Because I feel that as you talk about the requirements and things, where I don't want it to always feel like work. And I have a bit of an issue because there is work involved, yes, but I enjoy the work that I'm doing now, which is the primary difference from what I was doing, say, last year. And then on top of that, it's at what point am I needing to force myself to show up? And if I'm having to force myself to show up, what do I need to reevaluate there? Because there's some resistance. And so that's kind of where it all comes together for me, is like, okay, if I understand that that's what's happening, what I'm doing, then there's something that I need to look at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Reevaluate jumped out for me because hearing you say requirements and like all like there's all these emotions, it doesn't feel like good. Like the requirements, what I'm hearing is like they don't feel good to do those things. And so that's part of the reason why you're not doing them. So what I was thinking of is like, well, requirements for what? And is it the what that is like causing the resistance? Because if the what is like hit 100K in 12 months, and this is what's required to do that, and that doesn't feel like it's in flow and that doesn't feel good, then maybe it's actually more like hit 100K in 18 months.
Mhm.
So it's not 4 times a week on Instagram. It's not like, bashing out a month of emails, even if it doesn't feel like you're in the creative space. It's actually like twice or once, or the goal is we're just going to do 2 emails batched out, and we're going to create the space to feel creative and feel like the message is dropping in. And so that may take a little bit longer. And so it's like all of a sudden this like pressure is off of you, because when you mention willpower, that is the thing that I was like, I'm getting very much lose 30 pounds in 60 days vibes. Like that is not sustainable. Yes, you can do it, but it's going to suck.
Mhm.
And in like 61 days, you're going to be off of 5 days of HIIT and back to ice cream. Like,
Mhm.
let's be real, right? So it's like if you just wanted to change the shape of your body in a way that felt good, then maybe it's not 60 days that we're trying to do it in. And so therefore the requirements are different. And that's what makes it feel better.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that analogy about that. I'm all about still warming up my lunch. Okay. Hi, Marissa. We're talking about it's a little bit of a smaller call today because a few sisters couldn't be here. So we're just like having a discussion about success and all that it brings up. And Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. And it's so interesting. Does this ever happen to you guys? Like I feel like I get so clear about like what the long-term vision is and what I'm working toward, and then all of a sudden something will happen and like and you're like, and I'm like, fuck, no, I'm not. I'm still not there. That's still not it. And then you're just like, oh, it's like what?
But that ties, that also, I feel like it's tying into the thing that we were talking about earlier in the call, is like when you're not there, you're also like completely disregarding all the progress that's been made,
Yeah.
because you're just solely focused on this one thing that you didn't hit, instead of looking at, well, what are all the things that you did hit,
Hmm.
right? Like, did you get to 30%, 40%, 80% of what you were trying to do? Did you show up at all? Did you like help anybody, right? Did you create any content? Like, I don't know if this part of me is like, maybe my goals are too low, we gotta like go hit bigger. But I'm also like, you did something. There's a lot to be said for showing up and doing something and like seeing something through, even if it wasn't that thing. It's like, and I think this is part of me, because I'm still thinking about hitting 10K months in 6 months.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I still don't know if that's going to happen. But guess what? If I could basically make the same amount of money that I was making in my job in 6 months, that would be success to me. I'd be like, because 10K months is inevitable, but maybe it's more like 9 months. And am I okay with that? Okay, great.
Right.
That 100% resonates, because I actually was thinking about that too in one of the last meetings that we had. And I had connected with something with Michaela, and I made the comment where I said, I know my goals are kind of lofty, but I'm a lofty kind of gal. And it kind of bugged me that I said that afterwards. And I got to thinking about it, and I was like, why did I say that? Like, and then it just sort of, I sat with it for a minute, and all I kept hearing to myself was, shoot for the moon, because if you don't make it, you'll land on the stars. And so, yeah, I would love to hit 20K months in 6 months. If that does not happen, I've gotten somewhere farther than I am now. And that's enough to celebrate. Sometimes I forget to celebrate that. But like, in 20K months, like you said, it's inevitable. It might be down the road. It might be 12, 18 months for me. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm going to have that moon garden regardless. The timing is none of my business. But like, it takes some time to set into a place of, you know what? I'm going to show up. I'm going to do the things that light me up in my business, because those things are going to get me to where I want to go ultimately. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. So, yeah, I do still have hard time with the requirements and things. Like, I've been saying I was going to do YouTube videos, and I'm like, every time I get up to record it, I'm like, ugh. But at the same time, I've made so much progress with other things, and I get to sit in that. And so it's maybe it's a bit of a perspective shift. I don't know, but yeah, no, that 100% makes sense.
I love that you said the
And
timing is not my business. I just have to underline that. Like that is so good.
That's
Like
one of
yeah.
my favorite quotes.
the dream is
Mm-hmm.
inevitable, the
Mm-hmm.
timing is not my business. Like that is just so true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And dear, as you're saying that, first of all, I was also researching YouTube, and I was like, I ain't got it. I can't do what you need me to do, YouTube. But I look at it, I know, not in 2022.
Mhm.
But I'm like, I look at you and I'm like, I feel like Dear is always showing up in my TikTok FYP. Like, so I'm like, how much content is Dear creating? And I'm like, that in my like, from my perspective, I'm like, the grass is greener where you water it. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, they're just really good at TikTok. So that's, take that for what you want. But it's like, is YouTube even required if you're really good at TikTok? And I see your TikToks on your Instagram too. I'm like, that's enough video content. Like, can we just repurpose your TikToks on YouTube? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah. No, I appreciate that 100%. And that goes right along with all of it, is like, I can be happy with that. I can celebrate that's going. Because I had gotten a human design reading, and what she basically told me was, she was like, you have to be somewhere where your talents and your gifts are showcased. She's like, if you can show up and be yourself in the quirky, whatever, like the awesomeness that you are, that's it. So that's kind of what I was trying to do with the TikTok, and it seems to be working. So I'm like, I get to celebrate that. I get to, it works great for me. So, I get to sit in that. So thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it just made me think, like, at what point do, like, this idea of like requirements and all of that, like, at what point is it literally like our business and we are the deciders and we're the creators and we make our own rules, and those rules can be based in, this is what's going to feel good, and I know this is something I'm going to be able to sustainably commit to and show up to do, and so therefore they're my requirements.
Mm.
That's empowering.
You know what I just got? What
What?
if I defined success as the recognition that you're already fucking successful?
Oh, yes.
Like, right? What if
Yeah.
you define success as it's just recognizing I've already fucking done it. Just recognizing I'm already fucking great. Just recognizing I'm already fucking blessed, right? Like whatever, like insert what resonates with you most, right? Like, yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it's just the recognition that we're already fucking successful. Maybe that's what it is.
I love that. And I truly feel like that's a wave you can continue to ride into more success. And I think that invites that's in alignment with receptivity, I think is what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense?
Hmm? Beautiful. Marissa wants your TikTok, Dira.
Oh.
P.S. Side note.
Oh, I'm so sorry. The chat's right there too. I don't know how I missed that.
Yeah.
I have to see for myself too.
Girl,
Oh yeah.
it's wild. And a lot of times when I show up on camera, I'm a little tame. I'm not on TikTok.
It's okay.
I
That's
love
why
it.
we love it though, right?
So good. Yeah.
Amazing. Marissa, how do you define success? What's your relationship to success?
Kind of similar, to be honest. I love that we're all similar in a lot of things. Hold on, I just got my food out of the microwave and headed to my seat. No, but it's for me, it's always about showing up, like no matter what it is. You could wake up like in a shitty mood or sad or whatever, but as long as like you show up to do the work, you're successful already. No matter how small, whether it's just getting up and sending an email, that's a success to me. That's how I do it. I don't think there's not necessarily a way that you can tell someone that they're unsuccessful as long as they show up. You can't tell me I'm not doing what I need to do because I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been the biggest thing for me. It's like you have to show up, whether it's for yourself or your friends, your family. Showing up is the first step.
It's beautiful. It's powerful. Wow, this has been such a beautiful conversation. I feel like I totally got what I needed in terms of redefining my relationship to success for this moment. I'm curious if there's just something alive in one of you that wants to be expressed, looked at, that could support you in your business in some way. Oh yeah, Marissa. Yeah.
I actually had an idea, or like this thought came to my mind when Karen and Dira were talking about social media. So my career goal is to be to work for a studio as a producer. It doesn't have to be a big studio, but overall my goal is Marvel Studios. That's like what I'm working hard to be recognized by them.
She said it doesn't have to be a big studio, just Marvel.
But but handle, like I've always loved like working with, or always thought about working with National Geographic too, because they have a mini studio. And I'm like, there's this kind of small, but yeah. But anyways, I just have been having trouble for the past, I want to say like 2 to 3 years with social media, because personally, I feel like I don't need to show you what I'm doing. I don't need to show the world what I'm doing in order to be successful. Why do I have to post, all the projects I'm working on? But then at the same time, I get feedback that people are like, no, like you should post everything, let everyone know what you're working on if you want to be a producer. But on the other hand, too, there's producers that I follow that I admire that don't post anything until it's like the release date or something, or like the movie poster and stuff. So I've been really struggling with like sharing my creative side on social media, because a lot of it is personal to me too. Whether it's just for my profession or for like I do like Photoshop and like photography and stuff just for fun. Like when I go on hikes and stuff, I'll take a lot of pictures, but I never share them with anybody. So no one ever knows that I am a photographer. You know, I do a lot of boudoir shoots with my cousins and my sisters, and so a few friends. Never post them, but I am, but I call myself a photographer, and I'm just like, how can I call myself a photographer or producer if the world's not seeing it? So I don't know. I always go back and forth with in my head, like, should I post this? Should I not post this? Oh, why do they care? Like, I'm doing what I need to do, and I know that. So why do I need to post it? And it's just like been a constant battle. Like sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But if you look at my Instagram, like the last thing I posted was back in June, and it's just like, how do I try to be recognized by still valuing my privacy in a way, so it's been hard. Yeah.
Can I hop in? I'm having so, like, can I hop in? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. One, I want to just acknowledge this, like, why should I, like I like to be private, and also who wants to see that, like, I want to acknowledge that, because I feel that way. I feel like we all at some point have felt that way with our own social profiles and presence. What I'm hearing is a lot of statements that actually like center you, Marissa. And my first question is, who needs to see you doing your thing on social media? Because they need to see it for their own selves.
So it's just like a few of my friends, when I tell them what I'm working on, they oftentimes go, I had no idea you never post anything. You should start posting it. You could get, more, you can get more recognized about that. People like to see it. So if you're working on stuff behind the scenes, just post it. And I'm just like, yeah, but I'm just like, yeah, you're right, I should, but then I never do.
Okay. So
Yeah.
do you want to? If you like, simply put, like, if there was no issues, it was a total habit, you're totally used to doing it, would you want to post on social?
I feel like I should, because
Okay.
of
I'm gonna hop in.
That wasn't the question.
Should, when you start saying like should statements, that's like a little spidey sense that's coming from like an external judgment. It's not coming from your truth. It's like you feel obligated to do something because that's what somebody told you need to do in order to, quote, be successful. So I won't, like, this is why it's important for you to get clear on like, why would it feel good to post on social? But also, like, it's about you, but it's not about you. You get to make it whatever you want. You get to be private and still post about projects you're working on. Like, we don't need to know like
Yeah.
what color your underpants are that day. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like stuff that's interesting. But the point that I'm trying to get at is like, if your overarching goal is to be seen by Marvel, they can't see you unless you show up.
Yeah.
And they might be looking for someone who's literally like you. They're looking for someone who is at the intersection of all your identities, who's bringing that new idea to the table that nobody's voice can do in the whole room except a voice like yours. But they don't know that your voice is there because you're not creating a clear path for them to see you and find you. And my real question, like, okay, before I move on, how does that, what comes up for you when you hear that?
I completely get it. I'm like, you're right. You're right. If I want to be noticed, I have to make a presence. I have to make myself known. I think
You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about what you want to do.
Yeah. I think that's for me. I think the main thing is that I don't have enough time to create these posts, because I'm working 9 to 5, and then I go home, I eat dinner, and then usually by 7:30 I'm on meetings till like 11.
If time were not an issue, would you want to post?
Yes.
Okay.
I would want to post probably more, not constantly, but just like, for example, I have a project I'm filming at the end of the month for a dance film, and I haven't really posted anything about that. I've been reposting the director's posts, but nothing for myself. So if I would like to have more of a presence within, it's called Novelty. My film's called Novelty, within Novelty social media, but I just, I don't feel like it's necessary. But in order to see, it goes back and forth. I don't personally, I don't feel like it's necessary, but it is necessary if I want to bring an audience to the film.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
This, I don't feel like it's necessary, or this why should I have to narrative that you are running through your mind is not a narrative that is serving the you that has been hired by Marvel, right? It's not a narrative that's serving the you that has been hired by Marvel. It is a narrative that's serving a part of you, though.
Yeah.
There's some most likely younger version of Marissa believes that if she keeps telling herself that part of you will be protected in some way.
Yeah.
So my question is, what part of you is, it's not necessary to do that? What part of you is that serving to believe that?
I guess no part. You guys gonna make me cry. Sorry, I'm a Cancer. I'm sensitive.
My friends will
That's
get
okay, me too.
Apologies a year. There's not don't waste an apology, sis. Let the tears flow. And I challenge that. I call bullshit. It's serving a part of you. Otherwise you wouldn't. We do not self-sabotage, right? I was talking about this earlier. We don't self-sabotage on purpose, right? We don't make bad decisions. We make the best decisions we can given bad information, right? So right now you're telling yourself this isn't necessary. That's bad information, causing you to make the best decision that you can with that information, right? Which is not post on social media, right?
Yeah.
So what part of you, I'm going to ask the question again, it's not necessary for me to post on social media. That is serving a certain part of you. You would not, I promise you would not be thinking it if it wasn't. So I'm going to ask you again, and I'm going to ask you to go a little deeper. The tears came up for a reason, because it struck something deep in you. What part of you was crying just then?
I think it's like the fear of judgment.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And now you've shined a light on it.
A fear of judgment and the fear of failure.
Yeah.
Because I know everything that's going on with my production and we're struggling right now. Like, why would I want to showcase that?
Right.
Like,
Of course. Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. Of course. You don't want to be
yeah,
judged. You don't want to fail. You know your production is going through a really challenging time right now. You don't want to be vulnerable in that way. You don't want to be exposed. This feels like more of an exposure than a vulnerability. I don't want to be
yeah,
exposed, right? Okay.
yeah,
Makes so
yeah,
much sense. So what I would
yeah,
do, what I would do is first and foremost, just allow that part of yourself that believes like, I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be exposed. I don't want to fail. I definitely don't want to be seen failing, right?
yeah,
That part of you that's being protected from that, just like let her know there's a more mature part of yourself too that gets to be
yeah,
like, you know what? I hear you. I got you. I know you're scared. I know it's hard and it's okay.
yeah,
We're gonna test this out. We're gonna experiment with this. And I got you
yeah.
this time,
Thank
right?
you. Whoa, thank you, ladies. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, Karen, what you got?
What the piece about the judgment, it can be like when we center the judgment, that's when it's like I don't want to post because I'm afraid of being judged.
Yeah,
There's like honoring that. Also, like if you center, literally, if you center love and if you center acceptance and if you center representation and if you center all of these other possibilities, what could be true from you posting?
yeah, yeah. I guess it's also hard because in a way I don't know what to post because of, like what we're going through. Like I can't
If you
promote
did know what to post, where would you start?
um probably with just like the cast, like who the casts are.
Okay. Okay. Because here's
Yeah.
the thing that I don't know what to think. That part, it will come when you start dealing with the feelings of this is actually not about judgment. This is about love. This is actually not
Yeah.
about judgment. This is about me adding to the conversation of diversity in production. This is not
Yeah.
about like once you start getting through those difficult emotions and believing in
Yeah.
like the why you're posting, you will be flooded with ideas. And you just came up with one in like 2.2 seconds. I'll start with the cast.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Easy,
Yeah.
easy,
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. You're right. I
Yeah.
never thought about that before.
And if I could add, on top of that, despite the challenges that the production is going through, there are still things about it that you absolutely love, right?
Yeah. The
Yeah,
story
that's
itself.
yeah, see? And everybody loves a good story.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
Mhm.
good story. Yeah.
Wow.
And not to
Mhm.
mention, I
Okay.
heard you say, I take photos all the time. I do these shoots all the time. I'm like, you probably have a bunch of back catalog
Oh yeah.
content that you could just pull from.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't, yeah, like you got a lot of, it sounds like you got a lot of content because you're a freaking photographer and, and videographer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, I know you got stuff in there,
Yeah.
so.
I even have some for Stay Real.
Yes, I love that. Send
Mhm.
it. I say reels and
Yeah.
Yeah.
got hacked, so we're trying to get it back. But
Oh
yeah, it's all
no.
yeah, it's a whole thing. Well, it's all right. I
Yeah.
surrender. I surrender.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
what Karen's saying, what I'm saying, what Dira's saying,
Yeah.
the point here is like, look at the emotion, the stories you're telling yourself. That's where the lie can be, right? The feelings are
Yeah.
true because you feel them. The emotions are true because you embody them, right? But the
Yeah.
story that you tell yourself about that feeling or about that emotion, that's what you want to challenge. That's what you want to question.
Yeah.
And you want to do that in service of the you that has achieved the thing that you're going for, right? And I bet
Yeah.
you, even if you tap into her, like give yourself a moment just to be like, wow, when I've done the thing, if I'm the me who's done the thing, what would I tell myself right now? You actually have a
Yeah.
lot more that you know that you don't realize you know until you ask yourself the question,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That makes sense. That definitely makes sense. And yeah, I should start definitely challenging myself and not, just give in to those thoughts and the feelings, the thoughts that erupt from the feeling.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But take it one step at a time, like what Karen was saying
Mm.
earlier about like, maybe it's not supposed to be 100K in 6 months. Maybe it's supposed to take 9 months or whatever it is, right? It's like
Yeah.
take it one step at a time and give yourself grace, little things.
Yeah.
Today, the thing that you did around it was bring it up in conversation, you know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like you
'Cause
didn't have to
yeah, it's
raise
been
your hands,
Yeah.
but you
yeah.
did,
Yeah.
Mhm.
did, and you let us.
Because it's been something, like I said, it's been something that I've been fighting with for like 2 years.
Mm.
Since I hopped on my
That's a
first
lot of
project in
energy.
20. Yeah.
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 But I think it's also important to because Karen had said something specifically that stood out about Karen and I both did, where you go back to that part of yourself that feels that way, the part that's afraid of being judged or being seen or afraid of failure, and acknowledge how that feels, because that's something that I've done the same thing where I've fought with myself over things and I've tried to just sort of, you know what, no, we're not doing that, we're not feeling that. But it wasn't until I started saying, you know what, I acknowledge that you feel that way. I understand that this is why you feel. And then I was able to go on from there. So I mean, it's important to acknowledge that you feel that way, because you feel that way for a reason. That's you're
Yeah.
protecting yourself, a part of yourself from something. And that part of yourself that you're protecting is afraid of the success that could come on, because what if that part of yourself gets left behind, or what if something else happens and that part doesn't get acknowledged? And so
Yeah.
acknowledge that, and that will help you move forward, and the clarity will come. I 100% believe that too. The clarity and the ideas will all come through.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense. I like what you said. You were like, don't let something along the words of, don't let the fear stop me from my success, my potential success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this call is being
Thank you.
recorded, and you can rewatch it, and I would. And the thing that I want to the final thing that I want to say about this, I won't leave, other women can say something else if they feel inspired, but the final thing that I want to say about this in this moment is your what Karen just said about that's a lot of energy. 2 years going through this, that's a lot of energy. There's
Yeah.
time saving activities and there's time wasting activities. Indecision is a time wasting activity, right? So
Mm.
in 2 years of being undecided about what you want to do, you could have spent those 2 years being like, I'm not going to do social media right now. And take that energy and put it somewhere else in your life or your business, right? So
Yeah.
right now, like the most success, what I deem as successful people in the world that I like look up to and admire, be that people that I know or like like influencers in my life that I look up to. These are people who make up their minds fast and change their minds slowly. They decide fast and change their minds slowly, right? So it's like
Mm.
make the decision, because when you make the decision, that's when you can take the action. If the decision is no, I'm not going to do social media right now, then that frees you up to take action in other areas, be that
Yeah.
pursuing your creativity, be that focusing on your job right now so you can make money for the next steps, be that whatever it is, right? Or it can be,
Yeah.
yeah, now's the time. I'm going to start posting once a week on social media. And then that frees up energy to be focused in that, right? So,
Yeah.
like, make up your mind fast, change your mind slowly. Because when you make the
Yeah.
decision, first of all, I've said this before on other calls, it closes the door on other things, which can be scary. You want to keep those doors open, but I promise you, sometimes you just got to let them close, right? So close the door on these other possibilities and open up the door on the thing that you're actually moving towards, right? And that's by making the decision and then taking the action around it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Any other ladies have something to offer, Marissa, before we close?
And also just post something. And the funny thing about social media is it takes a while for people to find you. So you could be posting stuff and literally nobody sees it yet. And so it gives you this freedom. It gives you this freedom to be like, okay, I'm kind of just doing stuff under the radar, low key. Let me practice my posting, let me try some stuff or whatever. And then if you are doing it on a regular schedule, whatever feels good to you, then the people will start to see. And I so there's that freedom in that, right? In being able to create in like this private space that's on the internet. And also trust and believe. If anybody has the fucking nerve to judge you and tell you the judgment they're thinking about you, you will be able to handle it. Because here's the thing, we're always worried about these what if, these capital theys. Nobody coming for you like that. They're really not. And if they did, you know how to handle it. But what's most likely going to happen is you're going to post something and it's going to be received and appreciated.
Absolutely. And anybody who does do the judging, that's a projection, and a fan is a fan.
That part.
And
if they're not sorry, see, you got all these aunties up in here trying to tell you.
No, thank you.
It's so important. And it's so I've had times, I've been speaking about this recently. I've had times in my career where I got a lot of haters. I got mad judgment and a lot of haters with releasing certain songs or talking about certain subjects or whatever the thing may be. And when that happened and I would feel that pain of judgment, I would feel the pain of judgment. There would also, yes, as much as it hurt and it broke my heart and it was like soul crushing, there was also a liberation in it, because I was like, damn, I've been afraid of this feeling right here for so freaking long. And here I am feeling it. And guess what? I haven't died.
Yep.
And there's liberation in that. Right. So like when that, like, I welcome when that happens for you too, because it's like, it's the nature of social media. It's not going to happen a lot. It's going to be very few and far between, but it is going to happen. And when it does, like, you're going to, exactly what Karen said, like, you can do it. I got this. And there's liberation in that too.
Yeah. You're right.
Beautiful.
May I make a request?
Yeah.
Marissa, if you post something, can you put it in the Telegram so we can all support you?
Absolutely, yes.
Let us be your engagement group. Let us be your engagement group and go and show the love. Yes.
Thank you. I will definitely
Okay.
do so. Thank you so much for the kind words and the realizations, inspiration. I love you, ladies.
That's what the mastermind is all about. It's really leveraging the minds that are here. That's why we're here, to leverage one another. It feels good. Thanks for bringing it forward for us to get into our auntie selves. All right, we're already over time, but real quick, what are your goals? What's one action step you're going to take in your business this week? Zira, what's one action step you're going to take in your business?
Oh, I am going to prepare for the 2 shows that I'm going to be on, which actually one of them's tomorrow.
Yes, podcast preparation. And I can't wait to hear how they go. I'm assuming they will be released at a later date. You're just recording them this week, right? They're not going to be like immediately available. Okay. Yeah. Let us know how they go. Okay. What about you, Karen? What's one action step you're going to take in your business?
I'm going to map out the client management for a free 6-week coaching offer. I'm going to
6 weeks? Dang, girl. I love it. Okay. Map out client management for free 6-week coaching offer. That's deep. I'm curious to learn more about that. I want to pick your brain about that. That's deep. Okay.
Okay.
And what about you, Marissa? What is your action step for your business this week?
So I do want to try post something on social media about
Yay.
novelty. I don't I'm gonna brainstorm a little bit more about just the cast because we're filming so close. But aside from that, for production, I really need to order my lighting equipment and my art department equipment.
Okay. And art department equipment and post. And you weren't here at the beginning of a call when we did the accountability check. Did you finalize shooting schedule for crew members and did you prep your Indiegogo campaign?
I did. I actually got a full crew now.
Yay!
We launched our Indiegogo, and then
Yay!
I know, I'm so happy. And then I finalized the shooting schedule. But thanks for bringing that up because actually one of my cast members is not available during the time slot, so I have to redo it. But shouldn't be too bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
So adjust. So I'm going to add adjust
Just
shooting schedule
shooting
to
schedule.
accommodate. To accommodate cast member. Okay, beautiful. You guys are doing such great work. I'm so proud of y'all. Thank you again for such a beautiful call. I loved it. I really did.
Yeah.
I needed it.
Thank you.
And have a beautiful rest of your Monday, and I will see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, you
Bye.
too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.